Hey guys, another beautiful day out here. We're getting ready to go down to the beach. We're gonna swing by, pick up some coffee. Holy cow!
On an emotional level. First, distract target. Then block his blind jab. Counter with cross to left cheek. Discombobulate. Dazed, he'll attempt wild haymaker. Employ elbow block. And body shot. Block feral left. Weaken right jaw. Now fracture. Break cracked ribs. Traumatize solar plexus. Dislocate jaw entirely. Physical recovery 6 weeks. Full psychological recovery 6 months.
Hello! Where have we, guys? We've been waiting here for like 6 months. Where have you been? Great opening joke.
That's
great opening joke, guys. We're back. We're back for the cringe.
You're in for a good one.
We're here for a good one now. I'm very devastated because in the 6 months that we have taken off, Alec has become thinner than me.
Doesn't look like it.
Alec still looks pretty big, but
I
I'm
still
actually
look fat
bigger
as.
than Alec right now, which is devastating.
Well, what is that? I'm 20 kilos down, and I still look fat. Which is like, what, 44 pounds?
I'm 5 kilos up.
Yeah,
so.
Sam's now 5 kilos fatter than me.
This is our
beautiful day.
This is our note. I feel like I'm doing an interview actually with this. So, what are your strengths? I find that it's
My truest strength is my weakness.
My weakness is that I try too hard at work. Good to be back. It's been a while. We are doing a special today. I think we should say that first. We are doing a special. We are not sure if we're back full time, but we are here today to talk about Elden Ring because that is one game that we play a hell of a lot of. I've done about 120 hours. I'm level 200. Alex like level 69. Nice.
Of course, and I'm staying there.
I'm an adult virgin.
And we are thoroughly amazed with this game, actually. We've both played a lot of Souls. I think I've played as much Souls as you, actually. I legit think I've played as much Souls as you. I am now the pro. Alec is the casual gamer. I have played more Souls than Alec. Well, I've played more Elden Ring than Alec. Let's get to the drop. It's going to be a comprehensive review. We've got a few notes here. Let's get to it. Let's do the drop like old times. Oh, that felt good. The drop hand's still okay. Yeah, there we go. It's all good, guys. It still works. Still works.
All right, so we are back.
Elden Ring, baby.
Elden Ring. It's Elden Ring season.
It feels like, okay, so we have been away for 6 months. We're back.
Let's take time off.
We're just taking time off. This is a special today. I don't know if I said this in the drop, but it's a special today.
Sam is always special.
We wanted to talk about Elden Ring because we love Elden Ring and we love Souls games.
Yeah.
I've played God knows how much Dark Souls 1. I played that first in 2020. I did that to New Game Plus 7. Played Bloodborne. Done New Game Plus 6 of Sekiro. Played hundreds of hours. And now in Elden Ring, I'm level 200, done like 160 hours. I played a lot of this game, and I've loved it, and I really wanted to sit down and talk with the big boy today.
Yeah, so I think from the outset, we should clarify that Sam has finished it twice already.
Yep.
He did obviously a playthrough in the New Game Plus.
Yep.
I am pretty close to finishing my first playthrough.
So I'm the pro today.
Yeah,
I'm actually the pro.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know.
I'm going to just say
the first time for everything.
I think we should do an hour episode so I can just feel for an
Yeah.
hour I was the pro. All right, let's do it.
I've seen basically most of what the world has to offer, but obviously with some glaring exceptions.
Yep.
And yes, we have some
thoughts.
We have some thoughts.
Some thoughts.
From the top, this is an astounding game.
Yep.
And the spark notes of it is that I wasn't convinced at first, but as I played more of it, I really got to see what the game was trying to do, and I am obsessed with it. I went to bed at 2:30 last night, and we got up at like 7:30 this morning for breakfast. So I'm knackered, but I really want to talk about it. Sam loved it from the outset.
Because I knew what it was trying to do, where Alec, I mean...
Sam's just much more perceptive to like game design.
I'm just a lot more intelligent, you know?
Yeah,
so I could just see what they were doing and go, I get it. Alex like, what's going on here? No, it took him a lot of conversations that we had throughout the time. When you did Margot, then you did Godric, and then you went into Leonia, like... It didn't really, until you got to the capital and finished the capital, you're like, okay, I know what this is doing now, you know?
Yeah. So this is a perfect lead into my first and biggest gripe with Elden Ring at the start, which since faded, was the open world design. And so I will start by saying that the open world is phenomenal. But the issue for me is that it took me a while to understand that because I wasn't really a fan of the first area. It's called Limgrave. I didn't think it was particularly interesting. I didn't think exploring it was particularly fruitful. And it felt like all the corridors in prior From Software games had just been made larger. I feel like its real strength in its prior entries was condensing everything and making that trip between, Sen's Fortress and Undead Burg. It was a small bridge, but it was just packed with just detail. I felt like they'd kind of blown that up. Later on, as you explore more of the world, and the world is massive, there is a lot to see. There is a reason to get off your horse and wander around because there will be catacombs and churches and ruins that you need to explore to not only get really good items, but also find optional bosses.
Yeah, I would say that this is the most intricate, detailed open world I've personally seen, especially for its scale. So many open worlds come along. And their marketing their marketing strength is how big the world is. But then you jump in the world and it's full of nothing. It's like they want you to feel like you're getting your money's worth by how big the traverse is between A and B. Where this felt like it was just as big, but every single time you looked left or right, there was a dungeon, a catacomb, a certain item, a certain type of enemy, a mini boss walking around. It didn't matter what your appetite was, it was there. If you wanted to rush through to the next area, you could certainly do that. If you wanted to spend time, find a little door that led you to a 7-level catacomb, you could do that too. In that regard, I really do think that a lot of other games are going to look at this world design now and really question about how big they want that world to be and how little detail they want to put into it. Because I just did feel like certain games previously were definitely going down the route of bigger is better, but don't worry about what's in between. It's really big. And I think this is the first game that's come along. It didn't actually do that for me.
Yeah, I think what you made a point earlier in that I think was very important is that,
of course,
which is rare. The only you look around and you discover things around you.
Yeah.
That is the only way you can discover things. There are no map markers. There are no quest markers. The only way you can explore this world is using your eyes, is following your curiosity. And it really does a great job of rewarding that. I just platinumed Horizon Forbidden West, which I absolutely loved. I think Horizon's amazing. But it very much suffers from the...
hand-holding.
Yes. It very much suffers from the problem with modern open world games of heavily relying on map markers.
And dumbing it down.
Man, Aloy, who's the protagonist, she just talks to herself all the time. There's that meme of Elden Ring.
Biomutant, that stupid narrator.
Oh god, I can't stand that game, but that's another conversation. She's always talking to herself and telling you in a way where to go. And so you almost feel like a spectator in many open world modern games because there is so much pointing you in the direction that you almost feel like you're watching Aloy or you're watching whichever character in any open world game you're talking about.
Sure.
In this, and to a lesser degree in Breath of the Wild, and I know those two games are compared very often and usually to a cliche extent, but here it makes sense because Breath of the Wild really encourages you to use your eyes, look around, you'll see a shrine, you'll go over there. This does that, but to the nth degree. Yeah. There are such little visual cues for points of interest that you really need to get into the nitty gritty and explore.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of its major strengths. And a lot of people, especially when you first started, you're thinking, open world, is it going to work for me as the lover of Souls that I am? And I personally think it did work. And one of the things that they've included there is the open world and how it kind of seamlessly goes into a dungeon format like other Souls games, right? And for me, it's some of the most intricate, smart level design I've seen. And they still lean on that kind of old school, you step on a elevator. Shortcut, it goes up and down, and then you realize that you've already explored previous ways, but it's next to a grace and stuff. So this game also,
which is bonfires, basically.
Bonfires. So this game doesn't just give you open world, it also gives you those kind of old school experiences that I think we all kind of want when we play a Souls game, that kind of concentrated, heavily enemy fortified dungeon or castle or whatever they do that. There's no more than 4 or 5 kind of concentrated dungeon experiences in this game, and a lot of the time it is left to you going to catacombs and things that you would have just explored and seen on the side.
Yeah, I think that's actually that's a very good way to approach talking about Elden Ring. The thing that you need to talk about most in discussing this game is the open world, because it is really the defining difference between what you've played in the past with games from Software and what they've presented. I
actually bought the copy. I didn't actually get
physical.
digital. See, we have played it.
Digital.
See, we have played it. Okay?
Yeah.
This isn't a PNG. I'm just trying to hold out. Okay?
He's just gotten really good at video editing.
Very good.
So I think what I mean to say by that is, if you have played these games in the past, who knows? You're probably already playing Elden Ring right now. The 6 of you who haven't played it that are interested in it. If you've played From Software games in the past, you kind of know what to expect in terms of enemy design, boss encounters, gear. There's a lot of gear. I will say there is a lot of gear, which is great.
Yeah.
All those things that you would come to expect are present in Elden Ring, but the open world is really the defining difference. And it is so satisfying and refreshing. Not refreshing. It is
refreshing though, in a way.
But I was going to say it is refreshing that it's a success. And it's not even a moderate success. It is so instructive for how open world games can be designed.
Can be executed. I feel like open world design is a bit like Battle Royale. It's like, it's a Battle Royale, it's an open world, it's this thing, it's like this... It's got away from what it originally was.
It's almost a slur.
It's bad almost
a
now.
Bad word.
People
now.
are like, oh, it's an open world.
Yeah.
People don't want to see that. It's like when they were bringing out the new Halo, everyone's like, please don't do a Battle Royale. It's that same thing now.
Yes.
It's been done to death.
Yes.
So when you see a new open world that actually respects the player's time in such a way that they're just not marketing it as a big world, but like, we're going to give you something every 20 meters. There's something to do if you want it, and it's honestly such an achievement to see that.
I wouldn't say it's that densely packed, but
well,
yes,
you know what I mean,
there is
though.
certainly a
it's
lot
pretty
to explore.
close to that.
There's certainly a lot to explore.
Every single time I'm looking at like a rock formation, I'm like, is there a door around? Oh wait, there is. I'll go and see what that is. Oh, it's a catacombs. There's a boss at the end. Gives me a certain item. There's a certain type of enemy. There's an enemy design and aesthetic that you come across. A couple of times it is copied. Like there are a lot of catacombs. There are a lot of mines. But within that, it's nice to have that little bit of familiarity, but the rest of the time, it's always so new and different. But what do you think of the actual enemy design? Like, I felt like with Bloodborne, for instance, right? It was so, like, unrelenting, those enemies. Dark Souls, not so much. Where Dark Souls and the boss design, they were very different in terms of their difficulty. With Bloodborne, very similar with difficulty between the normal enemies and the boss enemies. Elden Ring, some of these enemies, man, are friggin' tough. They feel like
the normal
mini
mobs.
bosses. No, like some of those mini bosses that are just like part of mods, or that guy with the big golden hat, the big golden
Dome hat?
Yes.
He's slaying his head down?
Yes. You start seeing them more and more. He's originally like a little boss in the first area, and they do that a lot. Like the guy with like the 8 arms and stuff, and that's the first enemy you first. There's a lot of that.
They're kind of like, if you've played the original Dark Souls, the Capra Demon is a hellish boss for the opening portions of the game. And then later in the game, he's just a standard enemy.
Yeah,
same kind of thing.
There's like 2 waiting before you go in
the Demon Ruins.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
same kind of thing. Like, and it really does give you a nice sense of progression. It's almost this like really subtle, hey, like, remember how you were really shit earlier in the game? This is the same guy, and you're now going to like absolutely crush him.
Yeah.
But I would say the enemy variety in this game is one of its true strengths.
There are so many.
There are so many. And moveset design is really just... I hate it as much as I love it, because the moveset design is so good and so unpredictable that I've played a lot of these types of games, I feel like I know when I should be dodging, and there'll be enemies now that are surprising me, and I'm getting absolutely wrecked because like they'll wind up their big axe, and then they'll sit there, and you're like, oh shit, like what? And then they'll come down, and then you swear.
You swear a lot. I swore in this. Oh my god.
He bruised his leg.
I bruise my legs going every time I die because I'm so strong. You see, huge bruises. Okay, huge bruises.
Huge.
No, but look, I find that the defining difference with enemy design, and we'll get to boss design in a minute, is Dark Souls 1. You definitely feel like I know this moveset now. It's like playing Guitar Hero. I know this moveset. At no point.
It's almost meditative.
Yes, exactly. Like you get into this flow state,
Yeah.
right? Never in all of Elden Ring did I feel like I absolutely positively knew what that enemy or that boss was going to do, because yes, it would kind of bring up its cane if we're talking about Omit, for instance, and sometimes it would hit fast or sometimes it would wait longer. And the more that you progress through this game, the more that the animations had different forking points,
Yes,
that it would
that's what
do
I want
different
to say.
things. You
So
know?
it's almost like there's like a family tree of moves. So he'll start here with the first move, and then depending on where you are positioned around, the boss, they'll branch into another move, and then depending on your distance back, they'll either go into another follow-up ranged attack or they'll do a sweep. It is so clever that normally after a few encounters, you got a pretty good idea of a boss's moveset, and then it's just about kind of perfecting your inputs. In Elden Ring, so much of it is about just continually learning their movesets.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. And I've done New Game Plus 2 now. I'm going on to the third, and I'm still like, I know this boss, but like, do I know what he's going to do? 90%, but I don't know 100%. When I was doing Dark Souls New Game Plus 7, I'm like, I know what Ornstein and Smaug's going to do. Like, I know. It doesn't matter what they do. I know exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I know when to roll, what timing, what spacing. That isn't so present in this,
I've had the most trouble with boss encounters in Elden Ring than I have in any of the prior games from Software.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that the game is harder than prior games. I don't know yet. I think I just had a shit weapon.
Look, I think actually this is a good point, because a lot of people are saying there should have been an easy mode. Now, is there an easy mode in this game? No. Is there a way to kind of cheese the system? Yes. And that is the easy mode, right? You can get a certain sword, for instance, which I found, called like the Sword of Night and Fire or some shit.
Night and
like
Flame. Which I'm pretty sure is a nod to a Song
sounds
of
like
Ice and Fire.
that's what I thought.
Given
right?
this was helped by George R.R. Martin in some
yeah,
capacity,
yeah.
it's a nod.
Now, and like the Tortoise Shell, for instance, Supercell 2, like you can pretty much minimize 50% how much stamina. There's so many things that you can kind of include, and on top of that is the Mimic tier. Like there's just so many things that can assist you to make this game a lot easier if you want. If you want to go in, no summon, no spells, no Mimic, like no Ashes of War. This game's extraordinarily tough. If you are finding it very difficult, you can summon most major bosses, and you can have a lot of strong magic or certain weapons that do make it a lot easier. So I really think that was the design of this game, to give people that had done the research a way to finish this game a lot easier. I've never thought that previous, like Bloodborne, for instance, there isn't really a way to cheese through certain systems from what I'm aware of, right?
If there was, Sam would have found them.
I would have found it.
He sucks.
Yes, but with Elden Ring, I was struggling, and I did go out and find certain Ashes of War, like the Mimic tier, and I'm like, whoa, this is easy mode now.
So
This
Ashes
is
of
crazy.
War, for people who don't know, are basically just special abilities that are tied to a specific weapon.
And no,
but then you can,
you
you can use an ability from a given weapon on another weapon. So if you've played Dark Souls 3, it's a lot like Weapon Arts. But yeah, that's what he refers to.
But I'm also talking about being able to summon at any time something that looks like you, or a previous enemy that you may have killed, and you get this little thing that you can summon. That for me was another way that they were saying, if this is too hard and the one summon isn't enough for you, you can summon something else to help you too, and spread out the aggro. So I think that they were actually listening when they did Sekiro, because there was a lot of discussion. I can understand why people wanted to be able to play these games and not find it so hard, but the DNA of Souls is that it is hard. You cannot make a Souls game, in my opinion, without it being extraordinarily tough.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
I think philosophically, if these games were not as difficult, as challenging as they are, they would not be as compelling.
Absolutely.
I think their difficulty is a core design element, in the same way that, aim down sights is a core design element of Call of Duty. They are not separable. They are the same thing. And so, maybe it's a controversial opinion, but I don't think every game has to be for everybody. If you can't play Elden Ring or, whatever they've made, because you find it too difficult, then I'm sorry, like that's unfortunately how it is. It's like in the same way I probably couldn't be a jockey. I'm 125 kilos.
That poor horse.
Not everything has to be for everybody. If you find it too difficult, that's a shame. But I mean, it's one of the main characters of the game is how hard it is.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I think I've had a hard time and I'm continuing to have a bit of a hard time, but it's good. So look, obviously everybody is talking about this game glowingly. 97 on, I think it's still a 97 on Metacritic.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. But is there anything that you, and I don't even know the answer to this, is there anything you didn't like? The answer to that could be no. You could think it is basically perfect.
I think it's a 10 out of 10. No, look, I actually do think it's pretty close to a 10 for me. But like, there's only small things that I would have an issue with.
Like anything worth bringing up or not even really?
Just like, that's Alex saying, because we actually spoke off camera and I'm like, what about this? He's like, that's such a shit granular point. Don't bring that up. Fuck, I'm going to bring it up anyway. The Great Ruins, didn't love that, okay? I didn't think that was worth it, but apart from that, everything was fine. Because, okay, that's the only thing I didn't like about this game. The Great Rune, you go through all this blood, sweat and tears to get the Great Runes, and the only way to use the Great Runes is this rare consumable, so I didn't really use them much. And that was like, it's not just one item, the Great Rune, it's like the very reason you're going through the journey. So for that's like the only thing I looked back and go, I wish they did that differently. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, but I also think, like, in terms of the overall design philosophy of From Software games, they don't empower you through power-ups. You just... It's all purely through soul level. So the use of something like a Great Rune. So if for the 6 people who haven't played Elden Ring, Great Runes are basically like these rewards that you get for killing some of the major bosses.
Yep.
That give you stat buffs, whether it's heaps of HP or
they're all periodic attributes upgraded.
Exactly, they're periodical upgrades. But they are only activated through the use of quite a rare consumable item.
A rune arc.
So I agree with you. I was actually talking to my mate Jimmy last night, and he was. I was basically saying, well, you never end up using the Great Runes because in your mind you get tied up in that economy of, this probably isn't hard enough to use it on.
Yeah.
I'll wait, I'll hold it.
Yeah.
And then you get to the end of the game, you're like, well, I never used them.
Absolutely. What about co-op, man? We could not get that working.
Yeah, that was odd.
Okay, I don't know if that's another problem with someone. Like, we could not get it working.
I've spoken to heaps of people that have had no issues, but we probably tried for half an hour. I couldn't see it.
It's because, honestly, maybe I'm in New Game Plus and you're not. It could be that.
That's what I think.
Because I'm so powerful, you see. And
so
Alex is
strong.
not. Alex is so weak.
What would I criticize? Look, again...
Oh, actually, okay, quickly. Combat on the horse. You like that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I didn't love it. I didn't feel like...
I think it was excellent, actually.
It was something that I just didn't want to do much of because Souls for me is always the dodge and the roll and the millisecond response time that you can only get in that very...
The iframes.
Yeah, and that kind of very... it's very close in those intimate combat moments. The horse does take that away a little bit, and there's some bosses they wanted you to be on the horse for, like Radahn, or if you wanted to be on the horse, you didn't have to be on the horse for Radahn, but it kind of lent that way. Or the Tree Sentinel at the very beginning. Those moments didn't feel like I loved it. I still think it's an accomplished horse mechanic, or whatever you want to call it. I just didn't feel like, for me, it was the most enjoyable, most satisfying kills that I got in Souls. Souls for me was always most satisfying when I'm toe-to-toe with an enemy and I'm rolling perfectly and I'm dodging perfectly or whatever.
When he's just being amazing. Look, again, I would say that I don't feel like the opening area is this very strong. But I really don't have much to criticize with this game.
Yeah, it's very few and far between, really. Yeah.
So good. It's always few and lands between.
Nice, man.
Yeah, let's keep that in.
I want to keep that. No
that
music.
Great joke
just
in.
Zoom in on Alec in his awkwardness right there.
I really don't have much to criticize. It is a phenomenal game. Yep. It is so instructive to future open world games on how to just direct the player organically, not through so much hand holding and menus and internal monologues of the character.
Like, you should go over here, I reckon. I wonder what's over there.
It just lets you explore. It treats you like a grown-up, and it rewards your curiosity. And I feel like open world games have a lot of lessons they can learn here. I feel like Breath of the Wild was equally instructive, but I don't know that developers actually took the lessons from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
In many instances, I'm hoping that they can learn from Elden Ring because. It really is for in the same way Nintendo's first outing of an open world game was Breath of the Wild, and it was knocked it out of the park. From Software have never done an open world game like this, and they have knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely.
And to that, they deserve nothing but praise.
But 10 out of 10s.
They are really the darling of the industry at the moment.
Absolutely. They're what Blizzard was in like 2005.
Or CD Projekt Red before...
Before 2020.
Yeah, literally. Before like 20 minutes ago.
Before the Empire fell. But look, I would say, last thing I want to say is... the last thing I want to ask you is, do you think they can go back to a previous Souls format, or do you think now this is etched in stone of what people would expect, or they would be disappointed if they didn't see things this grand, or that open world kind of format always returning to additional Souls games?
I hope they go back to... I'd say I hope for whatever their next game is going to be, it goes back to... Basically, I want Sekiro 2.
Yeah.
So Sekiro...
Bloodborne, man. Bloodborne 2.
Sekiro is probably my favorite From Software game.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that game, but it's just it strikes every note of what I enjoy about those games. Having said that, I think there is so much scope to... You can literally sell $200 to $300 worth of DLC for Elden Ring without making a sequel.
Absolutely.
And giving everybody what they want. More of this open world format without necessarily making a new open world game. Yeah. That's what I would like to see from them. But
yeah, I think we haven't seen Sekiro has not done a DLC actually. Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, I believe. Dark Souls 2 did. But I don't think we've seen a Sekiro. So
that's a funny one, because Sekiro was done published by Activision, so it had a whole different...
Maybe it was a different contractual thing or whatever.
They just have a different approach, I think. But maybe I'm just speculating. But that's what I think would be the best course of action.
Yeah,
because there are certainly areas on the map that I can see that are not filled in.
Underneath the underground area, and a lot of the open sea could be maybe places where they kind of fill that.
Yes.
They did that with World of Warcraft, for instance. Like, the map always looked the same in a way, but then they filled in spots and bits and pieces for additional DLC and expansions. So they might do that too, and it kind of totally worked. But I would say this is an absolute triumph. For me, it's a 10 out of 10. It's the greatest Souls game that they've ever made. I do feel like in every single possible metric, I was blown away. And this gave me the first Dark Souls 1 experience again. When I first played Dark Souls 1, I'm like, wow, this is the most incredible, amazing story world that I've ever experienced, and I didn't think I was ever going to feel that again. When I played Elden Ring, I actually felt that again. So, can't wait for the next one. Elden Ring 2.
It is...
The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Elden Ring: The Two Towers.
Alright guys, we'll be back maybe for more. We'll let you in the comment sections. Do you want to see more? What if everyone's like, no, we don't want to see more?
No, we should just leave it there.
No, we hit there, everyone.
Close
Well,
the
thank you so much. We will be back another 6 months. What do you reckon? Alright guys, Laymen out!
Holy cow!